Yan, borrowing costs. So as a summary, when it comes to borrowing costs, the story is that our entity borrowed money or funding, loan from a bank or other financial institutions because the entity will use the funding, the amount to buy or maybe to construct or to acquire an asset, na so-called qualifying asset. Mamaya, i-define natin. Therefore, the said borrowings or loans will incur interest expense. Eh, sabi ng PAS 23, there are interest expense that is subject to capitalization or part of the cost of the PPE, pag ganon. No? Also, as a second summary, when it comes to borrowing costs, there are two types kasi. Una, specific borrowings. When we say specific borrowings, the Fed loan coming from a bank or maybe a financial institution, all the said funding was fully used or utilized to acquire or maybe to construct the said asset. Ano, ginamit daw ng buo yung funding. Siyempre, the total interest expense related to the said funding can be capitalizable, sabi ng PAS 23. Pangalawa, we call it as well, the other one, we call it general borrowings. When we say general borrowings naman, yung loan or yung funding natin coming from a bank or other financial institutions, hindi is not fully utilized for the said acquisition of the asset. Baka kalahati for operation expenses, to pay other expenses. The other one, the other half is maybe to construct a building maybe. So only a portion, therefore, sabi ng PAS 23. Pag general borrowings, may procedure. There's a procedure involved of the said general borrowings. Okay? So, it's PAS 23. We're gonna define some important items. First, syempre, borrowing costs. Therefore, we have already an idea. These are directly attributable costs to the acquisition, construction, or even production of a qualifying asset. Qualifying asset, mamaya i-define natin, pero basically kasama siya ng PPEs. And yun nga, lahat ng pwedeng ma-acquire, ma-construct, or ma-produce na asset. No? So capitalizable daw siya. Other borrowing costs, therefore, gaya ng typical interest expense na hindi naman siya nag-qualify, under PAS 23 is already an expense, syempre, as mentioned in basic accounting. No? So, meron lang pala daw. Ano yung mga to? Ito, the following are the borrowing costs that can be capitalizable, meaning added sa cost ng assets. Siyempre, lagi natin binabanggit, may borrowings, may funding, may loan. Number one, interest expense. No? Interest expense on financial liabilities or lease liabilities computed using effective interest method, meaning you amortize, you do amortization table, you compute the interest expense. Number two, dagdag lang natin in case you encounter any exchange differences arising from forex transaction. O next week, mag-forex tayo eh. From foreign currency borrowings to the extent that they are regarded as an adjustment to interest costs. No? Siyempre, the international borrowings daw yan or foreign borrowings, malamang different denominations. So we're just gonna have a point of comparison between the said forex rate exchanges or differences. Sabi niya, can be part of the borrowing cost, the said difference. No? Qualifying asset, ano yung mga binabanggit na qualifying asset? So as you can see, isa dyan yung PPEs. This is an asset that necessarily takes a substantial period of time to get ready for its intended use or sale. Kaya kanina, i-construct mo yung building, mag-acquire ka ng asset. So, period of time ang usapan. Mostly, if you can notice, qualifying assets are non-current, long-term. And the following are qualifying assets. Pwede daw yung inventories, pero mostly dapat long-term na inventories. Pag usual lang na sale or day-to-day operations na talagang typical products, so most of the current assets are not qualifying assets. BNC, PPE, tama? The intangible assets. Mamaya pag-usapan natin yan. And finally, letter E, investment properties measured under cost model lang. Kasi pag fair value model, ibang measurement ang basis. Active market, fair value, we don't talk about the construction and the acquisition of the asset. Dapat daw investment properties. I believe we're done with this in the red group nung nakaraan. No? Under cost model. And in the next slide, the following naman are not qualifying assets. So as you can see, no, letter A, the highlight is short period of time. So mostly, pag short period of time, malamang isang current assets or current asset ang involved, di ba? Kasi immaterial or irrelevant yung information na we are computing the shorter interest expense and others. That's why qualifying asset na short term or non or current, 'di ba, is not part of PAS 23. Gaya ng financial assets, PFRS 9, PAS 32, the mga natapos natin, financial assets measured at fair value P&L, OCI, amortized cost, ganun. Inventories yung typical sa past 2, hindi daw pwede or otherwise produce over a short period of time. Letter B, assets are ready for their intended use or sale when acquired. So, ginagamit na daw agad siya talaga. So, hindi siya qualifying asset. Letter C, assets that are routinely manufactured or otherwise produced in large quantities on a repetitive basis. So, more on process costing side. Homogeneous products, diba? And ito, sabi nga niya, assets measured at fair value. The fair value kasi is like a representation of the active market. Qualifying asset, medyo relevant to borrowing. So, medyo magkaiba yung point of understanding or nature nung sourcing nung said asset na yun. Kaya sabi niya, ano man daw measured at fair value is not under PAS 23. Okay? Kasi nga, fair value ang basic. Pag cost, we compute the cost minus any accumulated depreciation and impairment losses nga. Next, when is the beginning of the capitalization of the borrowing cost? Sabi niya rito, it begins when all of the following conditions are met. Letter A, first one, entity incurs expenditures. Talagang interest expense natin siya. Hindi siya advance borrowing lang. Talagang loan payable talaga siya. B, the entity incurs, syempre expense so incurred dapat na the borrowing costs. C, it undertakes activities that are necessary to prepare the assets for asset for its intended use or sale. Ayan, syempre, mga direct cost related, di ba? Yung mga typical na PPEs na ina-acquire natin or kinoconstruct natin. Syempre, we are preparing the site, we are clearing, we are paying legal fees, mga ganyan. So, may mga activities pa daw necessary before the commencement or the happening of the said activity. Suspension, kailan naman siya mag-end? During extended periods of suspension of active development of a qualifying asset. In case is beyond already the plans, is not part of the contract or agreements, mga ganun. Hindi na. Mostly subsequent costs already. In short, natapos na yung construction ng PPE or ng building, the after construction interest expense is already expense. It's not already a borrowing cost. Yun ang binabanggit niya dito. Kasi ready na daw yung asset, ginagamit na natin. Sabi kanina, pag qualifying asset, ready natin, pine-prepare natin, kinoconstruct natin, and others. Kung ginagamit na natin, subsequent costs na yun, expense na talaga siya. Cessation or the end of capitalization, as mentioned, no? When substantially all of the activities necessary to prepare the asset for its intended use or sale are completed, natapos na yung construction. Ginagamit na yung machine, ginagamit na or active na talaga legally yung intangible asset. Subsequent cost, interest expense na, hindi na added sa cost ng asset. Hindi na siya borrowing cost. First, is specific borrowings. Diba yung binanggit natin kanina? In case nakalimutan nyo lang, sinabi natin kanina, ang story ng specific borrowings, may inutang tayo, may loan tayo from a bank, at yung amount na yon fully para sa funding ng construction, acquisition of a qualifying asset. Para daw hanapin yung interest expense related, syempre yung typical na computation na interest expense do sa loan payable natin. Minus daw any investment income earned on the specific borrowings kung meron man. The net amount is the capitalizable borrowing costs added to the qualifying asset. Huh? Pag specific borrowing siya, meaning lahat nga kasi ng funding, lahat ng amount ay ginamit para dun sa qualifying asset. Okay? Specific borrowings. Yung actual interest expense niya, minus any investment income kung meron. Siya na yung capitalizable. Pero pag general, ito yung summary natin, the process, di ba? If you remember, pag general borrowings, hindi lahat nung funding ginamit para sa construction, acquisition ng qualifying asset. Therefore, kailangan natin humanap muna number one ng capitalization rate. How to compute the capitalization rate? Siyempre, una, hanapin mo yung typical na interest expense computation. The total interest expense on the general borrowings divided by the total peso amount ng general borrowings. Times 100, lalabas yung capitalization rate. No? The capitalization rate, if you can notice, will be used by multiplying it in the average expenditure on the asset. No? Usually, lumalabas yan like the nearest figure niyan yung parang sa average capital ng partnership, ng partners, capital balances. Ganun siya. Average expenditure daw ng assets or nung related sa qualifying asset or activities. I-multiply daw natin yung capitalization rate, lalabas yung borrowing costs under general borrowings na capitalizable or added sa asset. Pero tingnan guys, under general borrowings, syempre may point of comparison na siya. Sabi niya, oh, the amount computed in this formula should be compared to the actual borrowing costs. No? Whichever is lower, that should be capitalized. O, so far, I believe lahat ng na-encounter nating standards ay lower ang basis ng mga different measurements. Gaya ng borrowing cost daw, sa general borrowings nga kasi may process. So, whichever is lower, compute nyo dito under general borrowings versus actual borrowing cost, actual interest expense niya. No? Saan ba yan lilitaw? Dun sa, syempre ito, we computed the total interest expense di ba? The actual borrowing cost during the period. Whichever is lower, siya daw yung capitalizable. Okay? So yun yung last point of comparison. Hindi pwede na una agad na actual interest expense. No. Just follow the process under general borrowings, lalabas yung capitalizable na borrowing cost. So compare mo na lang daw. Whichever is lower versus the actual borrowing cost, yun ang capitalizable. Sa specific borrowings, generally hindi siya applicable kasi specific na talagang total. Talagang siya na lahat yun. Pero sa general kasi, i-divide mo with the help of the capitalization rate and the average expenditures. Okay? So, disclosure for the financial statements, the qualifying asset na nag-incur ng borrowing cost na added sa kanyang cost is not separated, no? Not segregated to the other assets. Meaning, kung PPE talaga siya, land, building, machinery, yung machinery yung nakinabang sa borrowing cost, talagang PPE siya under PAS 16. Hindi siya naka-PPE-qualifying asset from PAS 23. Hindi ganun, not segregated. Kung ano talaga yung nature ng account niya. Kung PPE siya, intangible, so be it. Ang pinagkaiba lang nila, may added na borrowing cost sa kanilang total cost. Huh? Regular assets, sabi niya, walang other recorded closure. Yung past 23. Yung ano lang, characteristics ng borrowing cost, specific ba yan, general, para man compute, yun lang. Pero the actual asset account involved, hindi siya segregated, sabi niya. And that's the end of past 23 borrowing costs. So, aside beyond the definitions, no, we saw the different assets called qualifying asset na pwede under borrowing costs, no? Tsaka the procedures, I hope you were refreshed. The specific one and the general borrowings. Anyway, guys, I uploaded this one na nasa canvas nyo na lahat ito para hindi na kayo mahirapan. Okay, questions past 23 borrowing costs? None? Naka-upload na bang materials? Sa Manila, hindi naka-upload. Parang in-upload ko yung kanina. O, papakita ko ha, wait lang. Ganito yung tsura niyan sa amin. Wala pa daw. Kanina lang yan guys. Baka hindi nyo nakita. Ito kayo, International Manila Group. Tignan ko kung may gray ha. Pag may gray, na-upload na. Hindi kayo nag-check. Ay, wala pa nga. Saan ko kaya na-upload yun? Check natin yung Baguio class. Nasa Baguio class. Sorry, Manila people. I forgot you guys. Ay, oo nga. Ito guys. Oh, kita niyo ba? Nasa Baguio, kaya di sila nagsasalita dito. Dapat pala nasa inyo. Okay, I'll delete the second one. Ililipat ko sa Baguio, Manila people.
So, ito yung itsura ng ano namin under Professor's Canvas. Ika-copy ko sa... Oh, ayan na. Oh, Manila class. Just check in a few seconds. The gray group. Okay? Ayan pala ang concern. Okay. Anyway, guys, let's move forward. The next one, siya nga sa calendar, past 38 intangible assets. Unahin ko muna itong PFR6 kasi medyo related din to sa depreciation, amortization, and others. No? The second, meron na? Okay. The second agenda, the second accounting standard for this afternoon is the one related to PFR6. So review natin. PFR6 na siya, updated version na siya. No? Dati kasi, I believe, baka pag nag-aaral kayo 10 to 15 years ago, parang is about wasting assets. Pero now, it's updated under PFR6. Exploration and evaluation of mineral resources. So ito yung related sa wasting assets na naalala nyo at depletion. Yan. Depletion expense. Yung mga industries na related sa natural resources or geo-related resources na hindi agad-agad napapalitan like minerals, gas and oil, jewelries, and other relevant activities. Ayan, mineral resources, sabi niya. No? So, mag-example tayo. Siyempre, Philex in Baguio, the mining side, mining industry, Philex Mining, and others. Petron, syempre, gas and oil, di ba? Petron, Shell, and other gasoline-related companies. Wasting assets siya natawag dati, di ba? PFR6. Kasi, pag minimina natin, binubungkal, ina-extract yung oil and gas sa island, sa kuweba, sa ocean maybe, na talagang property ng entity na yon, nababawasan yung deposit niyang resources. Pero sabi ng PFR6, kahit nababawasan yon, hindi naman siya agad-agad napapalitan. Nare-regenerate yung term, sabi niya. Wasting assets. Kasi hindi, imbes na depreciation expense, we call it depletion expense, right? So that is all about PFR6 as a overview. No? Ano kayong mga bago or mga naidagdag? Practically wala naman masyado. Parang it's about the accounting side niya lang. Na linuwagan nila, hindi na sobrang strict na dapat lagi may depletion, tapos naka-credit to accumulated depletion, or nakabawas agad sa asset. Generally, sabi ng PFR6, depende daw sa policies. Sa accounting policies ng NTP. In the old standard, wala kasing gano'n. Talagang may procedure like past 16, depreciation expense side. Pero dito sabi niya parang it will depend na to the entity's policies, accounting policies. So, let's define some important terms to be considered here. Ang tawag na ngayon ay exploration and evaluation expenditures. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, syempre explore, di ba? When we do exploration, we search. And when we search the resources, we're not sure kung meron or walang resources. So exploration side. Evaluation, may na-search ka na, pero hindi mo sure kung maibebenta mo yung na-search mong resources. Huh? So, beyond the said expenditures or activities, parang selling side na siya. So, ang binabagay ng PFR6, parang nasa stage ka pa lang ng talagang pagsa-search. And kung may na-search ka man, talagang hindi pa siya readily available for sale. Itatry mo pa in process. Kasi beyond the said processing, baka nagmamanufacturing na sila. No? And of course, manufacturing side, inventories na yun. No? So nasa ganong stage or level lang daw. And sabi nyo, search for mineral resources and minerals, oil, natural gas, and non-regenerative resources. No? Geo-related. Meaning, mapalitan man, baka it will take decades or longer period of time. No? After the entity has obtained legal rights to explore the said area or assets or properties. Therefore, the said expenditures now are incurred by the entity in connection with the exploration and eval of mineral resources, take note, before any technical feasibility and commercial viability. Yan ang binabanggit ko kanina. Kasi pag may technical feasibility, sure ka nang may products, may resources. Pag commercial viability, nagbebenta ka na sa market, commercial na eh. No? So, pass to na yun, na side, products na nausapan. Ang gusto ng PFRS 6, yung sa
activities pa lang ng explore tsaka evaluation. Okay? So, anong accounting na ito nabanggit ko na kanina? Tama ba? Sabi ng PFR 6, it permits already the entities to develop their own accounting policy for explore and evaluation of assets, which will result in relevant and reliable info. So, based entirely on management's judgment, without the need to consider the hierarchy of standards in PAS 8. PAS 8 is more of the changes in accounting policies, estimates, mga ganun, di ba? Kasi doon, talagang strict generally na accounting policies, retrospective. Accounting estimates, prospective, mga ganun. So dito, management's judgment muna daw. Ano ibig sabihin nun? The entity may recognize the said expenditures either expense na agad or asset muna. Tama? Kasi ang wasting asset like island, yung cave, na minimina and extract, talagang asset yan eh. No? May costing talaga siya. So, malamang kasama lahat ng explore tsaka evaluation expenditure sa cost niya. Sabi naman now ng PFR 6, kung in-expense mo yun, walang problema sa kanya na disclosure. Basta continuous na expenses na daw agad talaga siya na explore and evaluation. Pero in the old standards kasi, yun na, magde-depletion expense ka pa. Pag na-total mo na yung asset, meron. Sabi niya ngayon sa PFRS 6 option daw, management's judgment. Very familiar ang measurement niya kasi very PPE, di ba? Pag na-capitalize mo na lahat, pag na-add mo na daw lahat ng costs related to explore and evaluation expenditures at pinili mo siyang gawing asset, so debit to island, maybe debit to the cave, to the other properties kung saan mo siya binubungkal or minimina or mga in-extract na resources. O hindi debit mo sa asset account na yun, credit cash or whatever payment was done for the said asset. Siyempre, sabi niya, cost model. Initially, you measure the asset at cost. Subsequently, we depreciate. Ano nga ang tawag? Depletion expense. Ha? So, yung total cost dyan sa unang bullet, divided by, ano ang i-divide natin? Hindi na siya useful life. Tama ba? Sa PFR 6, ano yung inestimate nilang laman ng isla? Laman ng kuweba or other properties na may naka-deposit na resources. Ang usapan dyan, tons. Di ba? Tons, units. Yan. Di ba? Sinong gagawa? Siyempre, hindi tayo bilang accountant. Yung mga experts. Maybe scientists, geo-scientists, engineers, mga ganyan. Na, bibigyan lang nila sa atin. So, kung meron na kayong total cost, ginawa mo siyang asset, yung island na ginagamit ng Petron, ikaw yung accountant, sabi niya, yung total cost ng island divided by how many tons of gasoline maybe is estimated by the scientists or experts. Yun ang denominator, lalabas yung depletion expense per ton. Di ba? At kung ano yung mabubungkal nila per year, yun ang depletion expense in total. No? If you remember. So, ganun siya. Cost model. Cost minus accumulated depletion. Revaluation model, fair value of basis. Fair value amount nung island or other properties. No? Oh, then that's the end of PFRS 6. Yun lang idinagdag ko sa PFR 6 no kasi ang presentation ko is more of the disclosures at na binanggit ng PFR 6 yung depletion expense na side. We can still use such pero option na nga kung asset yung island, kung asset yung property. Pero kung hindi, sabi niya lahat daw ng cost ng island can be expenses. PFR 6. Questions? Baka merong related, baka yung work nyo po, Manila Class and Baguio People, no? Related to PFR 6 yun. So yung mga depletion, na, ay, related nga sa Petron, sa Felix, mga ganun, no? PFR 6 is the applicable disclosure as well. Okay, next. The last asset account that we're gonna talk about is intangible assets. No? Ito walang bago pero ang dami niyang binanggit na items or activities na related to intangible assets. What do we know so far about intangible assets? Past 36 is the answer. No? Marami siya. Ano ba kasi ibig sabihin ng intangible assets as an asset itself? No? Hindi kasi lahat ng assets or intangible assets are qualified in the definition of the assets. Meron lang. And it was already uh, mentioned or highlighted by Pastor Nate, intangible assets. Siyempre, ang intangible assets ay malamang ay kabaliktaran ng PAS 16 for property, plant, and equipment. No? If you can notice, syempre intangible nga eh. So walang physical substance. Number one characteristic. Ha? And sabi niya, uh, identifiable non-monetary asset. Syempre, ang pinaka-typical dyan, patent, trademark, and copyright. No? Others, franchise, leases, mga ganong sabi. Pero mostly asset side, yun nga, patent, trademark, and copyright. No? Patent, original invention ng entity natin yung product or yung pinaprovide ng service. Tayo yung inventor, tayo yung owner, patent, our legal right for the said product or service. Trademark, syempre business-related items. Logo, color, tagline, shape, di ba? Yung laging kasi sa undergrad, parang 1 week namin to dinidiscuss eh. So talaga magbibigay kami ng actual examples. Pero syempre yung pinaka-usual, pinaka-basic, Coca-Cola, di ba? Sa usapang trademark. The Coca-Cola, the shape of the bottle itself is part of the trademark side. The color shade of red is part of the trademark side as well. Tapos the font of Coca-Cola, yung kung paano siya na lettering, di ba? Coca-Cola lang pwede gumawa doon. So, yun is specific, di ba? Under intangible assets. Lahat yun, assets nila, kung re-register nila. Di ba? Ang kasunod sa kwento nito, sa undergrad or sa college is that most of the Filipino investors or businessmen tend to forget or forgot na on the legal right or ownership, hindi nila rin-register. No? Kaya ang example namin dyan, yung mogo-mogo na drink, di ba? Nakakainom po ba kayo ng mogo-mogo? Manila class and Baguio people. Ano yung mogo-mogo? Sa college, syempre, pag nagmamadaling estudyante, gusto niya iniinom at the same time, may kinakain na siya. So, may lamang nata de coco, di ba? Coconut preservatives. No? Eh, pag silip mo yung label ng mogo-mogo, ang nakasulat, made in Thailand. Ang kwento daw doon, ang nata de coco originated from the Philippines. Kasi ang Thailand, flavoring-wise, hindi siya related to coconut much. Although, syempre, Southeast Asian country, tropical, meron din coconuts, pero hindi siya highlighted na pine-preserve nila and others. Pero, di ba, nung mga bata tayo, pag wala nang may pakain or may reward sa atin na matamis, nata de coco is one of them. Di ba? So sa college, syempre, yung mga Gen Z, yung mga kausap na namin, hindi na sila aware na ay, oo nga, no? Parang nakatikim ako niya nung bata. Ganun. Pero sa side natin, maybe millennial people, talagang aware tayo, di ba? Childhood-wise, talagang parate yung Tata de Coco. Pero bakit made in Thailand yung Mogo Mogo? Kasi nga, Thailand ang unang nag-register ng said drink na, ay, pwede pala. Na yung Nata de Coco, ilagay mo sa drink, tapos inumin na, in a bottle. Baka hindi naisip ng Pilipinas ahead. Baka maraming kabisihan na ginaganap. Baka boxing, baka wala ba akong pinapatamaan Manila people? Baka magsumbong kayo dyan, mas malapit kayo, no? Baka maraming pinagkakabala ng mga Pinoy kasi, no? Nakalimutan nila i-register na, o nga, no? Ilagay natin sa inumin yung talagang coconut preservative natin. Parang ganun. So, anyway, lumayo na. Parang trademark na usapan yun. Business kasi, no? And finally, copyright. Siyempre, mga literary works, composer, artists, and others. So, lahat yun yung typical na intangible assets. However, sabi naman ng standards under PAS 38, we highlighted one specific account which is goodwill. No? Sabi ng PAS 38 daw, anumang internally generated goodwill is not part of the asset account na intangible assets. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng goodwill? No? Kasi sa undergrad, mahirap explain kung ano ibig sabihin ng goodwill. Kasi we cannot demonstrate an actual example of goodwill. Pero if we can analyze na goodwill in the most basic sense of it is that when it comes to business or entity, sometimes kahit sobrang nagpalit ka na ng location, nagpalit ka na ng tagline, nagtaas ka ng presyo, pero same quality of food or product and branding, meron pa rin mga loyal customers. Di ba? Yun ang pinaka-basic explanation namin. Doon lito yung goodwill, no? Na Okay, yung kape na binili mo is worth 280. Eh, ang pera mo 1,000. Keep the change. Diba? So goodwill. Kasi sobrang engganyo ka dun sa cafe or sa iniinom mo sa kanila na pinakip the change mo ang bill mo. Diba? So, di ba, yun yung pinaka-basic. So, ang tanong namin doon is that, paano mo i-record na loyal yung customer mo through an asset account? O di wala silang mahanap na asset account. Lalabas na yung goodwill ngayon. Eh sabi, ang utang na loob, ang goodwill, hindi rin na-record sa accounting. Pero yun ang sabi ng Past 38. Pero sabi ng advanced accounting nyo, PFRS 3, pag may investment in subsidiary, doon daw ang goodwill na rene-record lang. O, doon sila nag-conclude. Okay. Ang utang na loob, ang kawang gawa, and others, goodwill representation daw pala yun. Ang pagiging loyal customer, goodwill representation daw pala yun. Pero sabi ng Past 38, we don't record such. Diba? We don't record such, sabi niya. Because the only goodwill we record is the one coming from business combination. Pero hindi naman daw din sakop yun ng past 38. No? Sakop yun ng business combination accounting, advanced accounting. Pero pahapyaw lang, sinasabi rito, internally generated goodwill na may loyal customer ka, marami kang pa-keep the change na amount, tips, mga ganun, di ba? Na usapan, is not recorded as a goodwill. Maybe miscellaneous income would be a better option interpreted. Huh? So, intangible asset, malamang asset account. Itong slide na ito, puro naman siya reflection ng asset, di ba? Identifiable siya, may control tayo kasi asset na eh. Control represents ownership and future economic benefits. Kahit hindi doon directly nanggaling yung revenue, yes. Kasi nga, kailangan natin yung copyright para tayo makabenta ng sarili nating libro. Kailangan natin ng patent para mabenta natin yung mismong gawa or formula natin. Future economic benefits include revenue from the sale of products or services, cost savings, or other benefits resulting from the use of the asset by the entity. No? So very asset naman siya. Basta nag-qualify sa definition ng assets, sabi niya, pwede siyang under intangible assets classification. So to recognize such, ayan, it is if it demonstrates number one, it meets the definition na ng asset probable, di ba? What do we mean by probable before sa provisions? More chances na magiging asset siya. No? As compared to lesser chances na magiging asset siya. So probable, mas malaking chance na asset siya. And measured reliably, of course. Kasi ang utang na loob, paano mo siya i-measure? Ang loyal customer, paano mo i-measure yung pagiging loyal niya? So, hindi nga siya magpumasok, no? Sa definition, dapat daw kasi measured reliably, quantifiable. Initial measurement, ayan, gaya ng PPEs, guys, kamukha lang din naman ng PPE ito. At cost naman siya. Hindi naman ito napalitan ever since. My cost, syempre subsequently, my depreciation expense. Anong ang tawag? Pag intangibles, amortization expense. Mamaya pag-usapan natin yan. Therefore, intangible assets may be acquired through the following. Number one, separate acquisition. Binili mo talaga yung rights. Di ba? Parang yung nangyari doon sa Thailand side and the Philippines maybe, doon sa mogo-mogo na kwento. Baka originally, galing talaga sa formula na yun, galing talaga sa Philippine inventor. Pero baka sabi ng mga taga-Thai, akin na lang yan, bibilhin ko na lang. Sa kanila, sila nag-register ng patent nun. Separate acquisition. Number two, advanced accounting, business combination. Number three, government grant. We're done with that. Number four, exchange, transaction, fair value basis. And number five, yung habang kwento ng past 38, internally generated intangible assets. Meaning, inimbento natin. Ginawa natin, lumabas, lumitaw yung intangible assets. Internally generated assets. So una, separate acquisition review. Syempre, ang unang problem dyan sa ODPRAV is we're gonna get the total cost of the patent, the total cost of the trademark, copyright. Lagi niyo lang tatandaan, pag costing ng asset, these are directly attributable costs. Meaning, pag sinabing direct attributable costs, the cost we need for us to receive the asset, for us to legally use the asset, for us to talagang acquire the said asset. Therefore, delivery expense galing kay seller, mga permits, mga bayad. Tapos mga testing costs, mga bayad sa experts para sure na sa atin talaga yung legal right na yun, sa atin talaga yung tangible assets na yun, mas ang lahat ng directly na kailangan. So, purchase price, including import duties and non-refundable purchase taxes, after deducting trade discounts and rebates, no? Net of discount and rebates. So, and as mentioned, no, directly attributable costs to prepare the asset para makarating sa atin yung asset. Pero, pag ginagamit na natin yung asset, subsequent costs na yun, as mentioned kanina, expenses na siya. This is combination, reflect lang sa past 38 na fair value kasi yung basis doon, di ba? I think you're done with business combination in afar or you're ongoing ang maraming chapters doon. Anyway, sabi niya, always, lagi namang fair value ang basis doon kasi investment account yun at least eh. Dati, government grant, either recorded, the intangible assets recorded either una, fair value, pangalawa, alternatively, nominal amount, or zero plus any direct cost. Siyempre, asset eh, so naka-plus anumang direct cost, no? Minus pag liability. Exchange, review lang ng PAS 16 or PPEs din, di ba? Pag may commercial substance, baka meaning yan, like, may bebenta pa natin yung asset. In the market amount or in the market condition niya, talagang may fair value pa siya. Magagamit pa ng ibang potential sellers, may commercial substance. Sabi niya, i-debit daw natin yung intangible asset at fair value of the asset given up. Plus any cash paid kung cash received naka-minus. Kung wala, letter B, hierarchy, fair value of the asset received. Kung wala pa rin, yung carrying amount ng asset na binigay natin para ma-acquire yung intangible asset. Example, if I remember it right, kung sa PPEs or PAS 16, pakita lang natin ngayon, meron tayong old printer. We are kasi we are a printing entity, a printing related entity. So, yung old na ginagamit nating printer in exchange of a new patented product, mga ganun, no? Sabi niya, fair value of the asset given up, which is the printer. Kung wala, fair value ng patent na ma-receive natin. Kung wala, letter C, carry amount ng printer na ibibigay natin. Kung walang commercial substance, automatic lagi namang carrying amount na yung basis. Ito na agad siya. Pag no commercial substance, meaning talagang fully depreciated na siya, hindi na talaga magagamit ng sinumang sellers or kung sino mang pwedeng bumili nun. No? No commercial substance. Here, itong habang usapan. Internally generated intangible assets. What are internally generated intangible assets? Binanggit na natin yan kanina, mga inimbento natin talaga. Mga finormulate talaga natin nang galing mismo sa entity natin. Huh? So, the said cost of self-creating an intangible asset are classified into the following stages or the one related, the related costs involved. No? Example, Procter and Gamble, Unilever, they formulate specific items or ingredients, diba, para lumabas yung bagong product nilang shampoo, bagong product nilang sabon, ganun. So, bago nilang mailabas yun as a finished product, dumaan muna daw siya sa different stages, research and the development cost. At the first level, research cost, syempre, very uncertain yan. Searching pa lang eh, no? Searching, maybe in short, testing the different formulas, the different chemical related, chemistry related, and other scientific activities, no? And searching for new knowledge and identify and selecting possible pa lang eh. Ibig sabihin pag possible, hindi sure na talagang asset, may lalabas na intangible asset eh. So, halfly sure na baka maging asset siya, pero on the other side, the equal chance na hindi siya magiging asset eh. Pero pag nakalagpas ng research cost, ibig sabihin development cost na siya, development stage na. Meron nang medyo actual formula na gagamitin. No? Pero in the development stage, designing na nga eh. No? In the development stage, hindi, medyo uncertain pa rin kung maging finished product siya or maging intangible asset siya. Okay? Sabi niya kasi, it includes cost of designing from selected alternative and using knowledge gained from research. So, second level kumbaga yung development stage or development cost. No?
Pag hindi daw tayo sure anong stage na yan between the two, sabi niya, always research phase or research stage. Bakit ba natin kailangan malaman yung difference ng research at development stage? Kasi nga, self-generated, iniimbento natin eh. Yung related na intangible asset, doon sa activity na yon, yung formula ng shampoo para tayo lang makakagamit ng formula na yon. No? Pag research course or research stage pa lang, talagang uncertain yan. Searching pa nga lang na site, automatic expenses lahat yan. No? Pag development stage na kasi or development cost, generally expenses pa rin naman yan. Pero pag medyo sure na tayo na may lalabas na product, development stage is or development cost expenses capitalizable na parte ng intangible asset. Yan. Yun yung qualification niya. The development cost or expense can be capitalizable as part of the said asset. Eh kung hindi daw tayo sure anong stage na yon na ginagawa ng mga scientists, ng experts natin, research expense, research cost, expense talaga daw siya. No? Sir, question, paano ko yung entity namin ang ginagamit niyang asset account? Research and development costs. Diba? Research and development expenses. Ano siya doon sa binabanggit mong expense or capitalizable? Answer, hanggat may development, sabi niya, di ba? Hanggat may development stage, yung account na yan, malamang pwedeng capitalizable. No? Kasi di ba, research expense, expense. Development expense or cost, expense, generally, pag wala tayong lalabas na product, pero can be capitalizable. Yan ginagamit ng entity yung research and development eh. No? May development na yan, for sure. Bago mo in-account siya, capitalizable. May chances, no? Capitalizable. No? Pero pag nakahiwalay, at least alam na natin. So, tama? Ito ba nakasulat? Research expense immediately. Development expense immediately unless, ayan, may exception. Diba? Meaning, yung 1 to 6, capitalizable daw siya. Huh? Ano yung mga yan? Ayan, technical feasibility. Medyo may chances na maging product talaga siya. Number two, intention to complete. Hindi siya trial and error. Talagang may ifo-formulate kang bagong ingredient or bagong product na related sa shampoo natin dahil Unilever or P&G tayo. No? Number three, maibebenta. Oh, yun kasi yung number three, parang ano yan, nag-reflect yan sa patent code. Tsaka ano ba DTI related commercial law. Yung ability to use or sell. Kasi hindi lahat ng pinoproduce or naimbento ay kapaki-pakinabang. Kaya sabi ng interpreted na accounting standard, ability to use or sell such. Kasi nga, baka one time, big time lang na may bagong formula na tanggal lahat ng problema related sa shampoo. After nun, wala na. Hindi na ma-formulate kasi hindi na mahanap kung anong ingredient. Kung anong ingredients ang tumugma sa pag-solve ng problema ngayon. Di ba? So dapat daw, may ability ka na magamit at mabenta yon. Siyempre, may available resources. Yan ang binabanggit ng number 3 tayo. Kasi kung hindi, expenses na lahat yan. Number four, tama, probable. So, mas malaki yung chance na asset siya. Number five, the availability, ay binabanggit ko na kanina, no? Kailan ma-produce natin? Hindi pwedeng na-inventuhan natin kapag pakinabang siya today. Nung na-consume na, hindi na ma-produce ulit. So, hindi siya asset daw. Hindi siya development cost na capitalizable. And of course, may quantifiable amount. Number six, measured reliably. Sabi naman ng standards, lahat daw ito dapat are conditions na dapat ma-met para capitalizable yung development, expense, or cost. Pero mostly, we capitalize in that sense na may development na nga kasi. Mas malaki na yung chance na maging asset siya. Compared sa research kanina, 50-50 pa tayo. Di ba tayo super accurate or sure na may lalabas na formula na related dun sa intangible asset? The following, in this slide, sinamarize na natin lahat naman ng expenses na talaga na hindi kasi research and development. Pero ang palatandaan natin, lumagpas na siya sa research and development stages. In short, baka minamanufacture na, baka binibenta na, selling expenses na, product costs na usapan, inventories na. Ayan, sabi niya, letter A, the one with commercial production, ay talagang meron na eh. No? Pag may commercial production yan, talagang meron na tayong product na available eh. Diba? Yung sa kanina, talagang medyo tinitake pa natin yung chances natin na baka accurately, meron talagang possibility or probability na merong asset na lalabas. Ito kasi as you can see, letter A, puro may commercial side na. May products, consumer, commercial side halos. No? Troubleshooting during commercial production, talagang nagpo-produce na eh. Production na yung usapan. Eh. Periodic or routine design changes, talagang meron na formulate na bote maybe or formula for that. Modification of design for a specific customer. Naku, may customer ka na. Ibig sabihin, binibenta ka na talagang product. No? Hindi na siya R&D. Mostly are selling expenses. Kung hindi man, baka admin. Letter B, oh, ayan, advertising and marketing, selling expenses na yan. Letter C, training costs. Nagtitrain na yung mga empleyado para gamitin yung asset. Hindi na siya R&D. Hindi na siya intangibles. Yan, sabi. Beyond R&D scope na daw siya. Ito, another query for this research and development activities. Paano naman daw yung PPEs related na ginamit sa research and development activities or stages? Or kung hindi man, yung depreciation expense related. Ang sagot dyan ng Pastor Tate is that, nagagamit mo ba yung PPE sa other activities ng operations or ng entities natin? Or ginagamit mo lang siya exclusively, entirely, solely dun sa intangible assets na activities, no? Ang sagot, pag nagagamit mo pa siya sa others, no, sa other activities or operations, yung related cost ng PPE and depreciation expense is not capitalizable sa intangible asset. Pero kung yung mismong PPE na yon ay ginagamit mo lang for the intangible related activities, R&D activities, ayan, sabi niya capitalizable daw siya. No? You know? First bullet, the item of the PPE can be used in various R&D or other purposes, sabi niyo. The cost of the PPE is capitalized and depreciated. The amount of the depreciation is included as R&D expense. If the item of the PPE can only be used on one specific R&D project, the cost of the PPE is expense immediately in its entirety as research and development expense. Diba? Parang pag doon lang talaga sa activity na yon na R&D, sa R&D talaga siya mag-fall na costing. Pero pag may others pa, the typical, pa 16 siya, PPE talaga siya. Yan ang binabanggit ng case na ito or scenarios. Ito, nabanggit na natin kanina, no? But the rest, guys, are items not recognized as intangible assets. Yan. Internally generated. Inimbento mo eh. Internally generated. Brands, mastheads, publishing titles, customer list, ayun na yung goodwill, no? And items similar in substance. These are all expenses and not part of intangible assets. Okay? Subsequently, ano mga expenses related sa intangible assets gaya ng PPE are already expenses. Can we reinstate costs in subsequent period? Generally not. Kasi kung talagang capitalized siya, doon na talaga siya initially and subsequently, we just need to amortize in case pwede siyang i-amortize or i-depreciate. Yun ang term ng depreciation, di ba? Ng intangibles, amortization. Pero kung talagang expenses siya in the first place, subsequently, talagang expenses na daw siya. No? Initially recognized as expense shall not be recognized as part of the cost of the intangible asset at a later date, sabi niya. Yan. Measurement after recognition, cost model or evaluation model. Very PPE, di ba? Very past 16 na usapan. So, syempre, cost model, di ba? The total cost minus accumulated depreciation. Ang tawag na natin dito ay amortization expense. Accumulated, amortization, and impairment losses. The evaluation model, malamang fair value amount ang laging basis niya na rinireport natin sa balance sheet as the asset account. Na? As mentioned, ang depreciation expense na intangible assets ay amortization expense. So, anong intangible assets ang subject to amortization expense? At ano yung subject to test of impairment? Ito yung sagot, sabi niya, intangible assets with finite useful life. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Talagang may useful life siya na basis, gaya ng PAS 16 or PPEs, are amortized over the shorter of the asset's useful life versus the legal life of the asset. So hindi pala lahat na intangible assets ay dine-depreciate. slash ang tawag sa kanila nga ay amortization expense. No? Sabi niya,
Make sure you're gonna compare the useful life of the asset versus the legal life of the asset. Whichever is shorter, siya ang denominator.
ng depreciable amount or subject to amortization na amount ng intangible asset divided by whichever is shorter. Useful life, syempre case to case, depende kung ano ang sinabi or decision ng entity. Pero usapang legal life, syempre depende on the commercial laws in the Philippine Code or in the Philippine settings. No? As far as the intangible assets are concerned, pag-usapang patent sa commercial laws, how many legal life, years of legal life of it? 20 years, di ba, yung patent. Yung trademark, siya yung 10 years in the Philippines. No? Copyright, ang sabi sa copyright doon, Art 23, the life of the author plus 50 years after the death, di ba? Yun ang usapang legal life. No? Come again, yung sa shorter daw, between useful life tsaka legal life. So far, what we know, patent in the Philippine Code or in the patent code in the Philippines, 20 years, legal life. Ano pa isa kanina? Trademark, 10 years. Copyright, life ng author plus 50 years. Yan. I-compare mo daw siya sa useful life ng patent, ng trademark, ng, ano pa yung isa? Copyright, sabi niya, whichever is shorter, yun ang basis ng amortization expense. Ha? Minsan, may yung entities na gumagamit na debit amortization expense, credit na agad dun sa intangible asset account. Pwede naman yun. Pero minsan, we use accumulated amortization, gaya ng PPEs, para medyo pattern din siya dun sa pag-depreciate.
Eh paano kung may indefinite useful life? Bakit indefinite? Kasi talagang
Throughout the business life, the said, throughout our business life of the entity, the said asset or intangible asset can be used. Kasi nga, tayo na talagang may-ari. No? So, pag indefinite useful life naman daw, hindi na siya subject to amortization expense. Pero, will be subject to test of impairment loss or impairment. Mamaya, yun ang huling topic natin, no? Impairment. Kaya natin nalalaman na ma-impairment siya. Malamang pag yung recoverable amount niya or maybe fair value is lower than the carrying amount or book value ng intangible asset. May impairment loss na nagaganap. Mamaya pag-usapan ulit natin yan. Nevertheless, at least ang amortization daw ay straight line method gaya ng depreciation expense. No?
and that's the end of intangible assets. Past 38 questions? Questions? Manila class, nandito pa ba kayo? 5:53 yung huli na nag-react. Past 38 yan. Manila people, okay lang ba kayo? Yes? Okay, I see. No questions though. Okay. Kung walang questions, ituloy na natin kasi huli na to eh, no? So, okay daw. I see. Baguio class, how about you? Okay lang, none? Okay. The last accounting standard for this group, past 36, impairment of assets. In short, impairment loss, di ba? Ever since nag-umpisa naman tayo ng CFAS, we already encounter impairment loss na usapan. Pero bakit may past 36 pa kung matagal na pala natin pinag-uusapan ng impairment? Actually, it started nung inventory di ba? In past 2, may usapang inventory write-down. Siya yung impairment na usapan, no? Uh, ang only subject to test of impairment are generally asset accounts kasi nga these are all resources. When we say impairment, hindi lang naman siya by qualitative, quantitative in nature na talagang numbers or amounts lang. Because sometimes on the qualitative side, baka sobrang luma na yung ginagamit nating asset or resource na meron palang mas readily available na iba na asset. Doon pumapasok yung impairment no? On the qualitative side. So, nung una, marami na tayong encounter yan sa past 2, di ba? Lower of cost versus net realizable value. May tinatawag tayong inventory write-down. Yun yung parang impairment loss niya, di ba? Na pag mas mataas yung cost over sa net realizable value, may inventory write-down. Kumbaga, impaired siya. Ano ba? Yung fair value less cost to sell and other fair value measured accounts, asset accounts, mas mataas yung carrying amount or book value ng asset. May subject to impairment siya ever since. No? Ngayon, ang tulong ng PAS 36, kung merong mga other asset standards, asset-related standards na hindi nagbanggit ng ganong details about impairment loss, generally, applicable na daw yung PAS 36 to the rest of the asset accounts. Okay? So, PAS 36 is about impairment of assets. As we define, o tama ba yung binabanggit natin? Carrying amount ng asset, minsan tawag sa book value, paano siya kinocompute, cost minus accumulated depreciation, carrying amount of the asset is greater than the recoverable amount of the asset. Dati yung mga na-encounter natin na investment accounts sa PPE, ang recoverable amount daw nila ay yung fair value nila. So, pag mas mataas yung carrying amount over sa recoverable amount niya, ma-impairment loss na nag-arise. Debit impairment loss, credit the asset account para ma-adjust yung asset account. Minsan may allowance pa nga for impairment. Pwede naman siyang debit to impairment loss, meron pa siyang credit to allowance for impairment para yung allowance ibabawas na lang sa initial and original cost ng asset na yun. Anyway, impairment loss yan. Ilitaw sa income statement or profit or loss. As a summary, ito yung sinabi ng standards. Tama? Recoverable amount versus carrying amount. Lalabas dyan ay negative. Pag sinundan mo yung format niyan, impairment loss yon lalabas sa P&L, income statement. However, sabi ng standards, recoverable amount, for the first time, kasi lahat lower no? For the first time, ang measurement ay higher. Tama? Sabi niya. Pag hindi daw binigay yung recoverable amount, usually fair value ang basis niya. Pero if you have a fair value and the value in use, sabi niya, whichever is higher is the recoverable amount. Yun ang point of comparison niya sa carrying amount ng said asset. No? Whichever is higher daw kasi. Between fair value less cost of disposal versus value in use. Yung value in use na yan, generally, are present value amounts. No? When we talk about present value, marami tayo sa loans, pag-usapang assets, notes receivable, loan receivable, accounts receivable, even investments measured at amortized cost. Diba? Present value na usapan. Yan yun, value in use actually. Sabi niyo, value in use is the present value of future cash flows expected to be derived from the asset or CGU or cash generating units. Later, we're gonna talk about CGUs. No? Pero for now, recoverable amount, ang point of comparison, tatandaan natin, fair value less cost of disposal versus value in use. Whichever is higher. Identifying an asset that may be impaired, sabi niya, an entity shall assess at the end of each reporting period whether there's any indication, no? That an asset may be impaired. So, if any such condition exists, the entity shall estimate the recoverable amount of the asset. If there's no indication, there's no need to assess the recoverable amount or test for impairment. No? Or no need to estimate the recoverable amount. Ngayon, in this slide, we summarize the different sources or reason bakit may usapang impairment. No? So, external source of information, yan, significant decline in the asset's value more than what is expected as a result of passage of time of normal use. Kasi nga, naluma na. Yung machine na in-acquire natin 18 years ago, marami ng bagong models na ngayon na mas automatic. Yun pa rin yung ginagamit natin. Di ba? Manual siya dati, ngayon may mga automatic editions na siya. So, syempre, impaired din siya kasi ang production nun, mas konti, malamang over sa high-tech or latest version niya. No? Yan ang binabanggit ng mga sources of impairment na hindi lang the quantitative amount itself, it can be on the qualitative side. That will be significant changes in technological and bilanggit natin, market, economic, or legal environment. Increase in market interest rate can be an indicative daw na impairment loss din. Letter D, carrying amount of the net asset, alam na natin yan, is more than the market capitalization. Internal source, and familiar tayo, di ba? Obsolescence or physical damage na dati kasi talagang fully functional yung machine. Ngayon, hindi na, kalahati na lang ng machine ang gumagana, pero dahil nagtitipid yung entity, yun pa rin ang ginagamit. So, physical damage, obsolescence. Significant change with adverse effect to the entity has taken place or will take place and therefore will affect the expected use of the asset, like discontinuance, disposal, and restructuring. And finally, the evidences available from internal reporting that indicates that the economic performance of the asset is or will be worse than expected. So, kaya nga sinabi natin kanina assets are really subject to impairment because assets are our resources eh. These are the resources that we control. Siyempre, pag hindi natin makontrol yan na assets natin, somehow it will affect the operations. Kaya, the usapang control side is tested through impairment. Siyempre, alam na pala natin sobrang luma na. And under productivity side na tayo. Siyempre, hindi pa rin nagpapalit. As a financial analyst, recommend mo na magpalit na ng bagong machine or ginagamit na procedures or process pero hindi nyo pa rin pinalitan. Siyempre, invest na makaproduce na mas marami and would result to revenue, lesser amount ang lumalabas. So, impairment side. The following items or asset accounts are required. Yan, yung kakatapos natin, no? To be tested at least annually. Di ba? Tama? Letter A. Intangible assets with indefinite useful life. Kasi nga, hindi na sila subject to amortization expense, you should test for impairment loss. Intangible asset, letter B, not yet available for use. And letter C, yung goodwill coming from business combination. No? Yun lang naman at least yung re-require ng standards. Pero kung lahat tinitest nyo, sabi niya okay lang daw. At least ito yung laman ng disclosure nyo for the testing of the impairment loss. So, recoverable amount, as mentioned a while ago, is higher between the fair value less cost of disposal and value in use. However, there's no reason to believe that the assets value in use materially exceeds the fair value less cost of disposal. Sabi niya, the assets fair value less cost of disposal may be used as a basis of the recoverable amount. No? Materially side, so case-to-case basis. Depende sa kung ano yung activities or transactions na ginagawa ng entity. Nung non-current asset held for sale or disposal, sabi niya, this is often used in case of assets held for disposal. Sabi niya. So, kaya nga nung mga nauna, mostly we encounter the fair value as a point of comparison versus the carrying amount na agad, di ba? Yun na agad yung recoverable amount niya. Pag indicative daw siya na wala naman talagang material difference with the value in use or the present value side. Pero kung kailangan natin ng kompleto, syempre we compare first, no? Pag hindi naman binanggit ng specific na standards ng asset na yun, ng asset account na yun. And this slide is the value in use. So as you can see, puro present value naman siya ng usapan. Very managerial accounting, no? When you compare maybe on the capital budgeting side, when you compare or compute the total inflows, tsaka outflows, sabi niya, any residual value of the asset and disposal cost should be included. In estimating future cash inflows kasi yon, future expenses, outflows. Sabi dito, cash flow projections shall cover a maximum period of 5 years. Projection beyond 5 years are extrapolated. Anong meaning ng extrapolation? We try and error. We go with trial and error side. Huh? Extrapolated. We assume or try the possibilities kung ano yung pinakamalapit doon sa actual carrying amount or present value ng said asset. And sabi niya, at least pre-tax rate daw siya for the said discount rate. No? So, sa amortization table ng discount, tsaka premium, nakikita na agad natin doon anong starting point ng value in use tsaka extrapolation. Di ba? Sinabi doon, pag effective interest rate is higher than the nominal interest rate, indicative siya na discount yung lumabas na financial instrument. Otherwise, baka at premium siya. We summarize here the different cash flows na on your left side are excluded, hindi kasama. And on the left side, the blue one are included in the computation of value in use. So, among hindi kasama, number one, future restructurings not yet committed. Wala sa kontrata, walang agreements. Future costs generally are not recognizable or should not be recognized kasi. Number two, improving or enhancing the asset's performance. Number three, income taxes daw, hindi kasama. And financing, number four, financing activities. Included, number one, revenues, of course. Number two, day-to-day cost of using the asset. And number three, di ba, lagi, residual value. Parte siya ng cash inflow pag nag-present value ka sa managerial accounting or capital budgeting. No? Any residual value of the asset and disposal costs. Kasama lahat yun. Tama ba? When we recognize impairment loss, generally, income statement siya papasok. Profit or loss. In which case, pag-usapang revaluation surplus, unless the asset is carried at revalued amount, meaning fair value ang basis niya, in which case, revaluation surplus is decreased first. No? And in excess, recognize na siya sa P&L. So, remember that one. Kasi, syempre, generally, impairment loss ay P&L, income statement yan eh. Pero kung ang source niya or pinanggalingan, revaluation surplus, we learn in PAS 1, revaluation surplus is part of OCI items, meaning meaning fair value ang measurement niya. Retained earnings ang pasok nun eh, kumbaga, pag cumulative balance or equity side. So sabi niya, the first part, revaluation surplus muna, in excess kung meron pa, P&L na siya papasok. The decrease in the revaluation surplus is recognized in other comprehensive income. Can we depreciate the impaired asset? Sabi ng standards, yes. Kasi sa measurement lang siya nag-iba. Pero sa useful life is continuous. Kung talagang asset pa rin natin siya. Therefore, sabi niya, after the recognition of the impairment loss, the depreciation or amortization, expense, charge for the assets shall be adjusted in future periods to allocate the assets revised carrying amount. Less is residual value, so in-adjust natin kung anong amount ang basis. Pero subsequently, we depreciate or we amortize pa rin after the impairment loss. The next explanation in the standards is the CGU, no? Cash Generating Unit. Kumbaga, ito yung grinupo together. Cash Generating Unit are smallest identifiable group of assets that generates cash inflows that are largely independent of the cash inflows from other assets or group of assets. CGU yun. Parang on a specific department or a branch or activities, they can be cumulatively added together and it doesn't provide a material difference. CGU daw siya, cash generating unit, no? The smallest identifiable group of asset. Paano mag-test of impairment na usapan dyan sa CGU? Sabi niya, assets daw whose recoverable amount can be determined reliably are tested for impairment individually. Pero the rest, as a group na daw siya. No? Assets whose recoverable amount cannot be determined reliably, like those assets that do not generate their own cash flows, are included in a CGU. Therefore, the CGU is the one tested for impairment. So generally, yung first bullet parang yung mga typical na asset accounts because we test them individually na inventories, cost versus NRV, whichever is lower. The investments fair value, less carry versus carrying amount individually, no? Pero the rest na hindi siya separated na asset account, they are grouped together, CGU, we test together the said group of assets under CGU, no? How to account the said impairment loss related to CGU? Sabi niya rito, pag merong goodwill daw dun sa cash generating unit, lahat muna daw na impairment loss should be absorbed by the goodwill. Anumang excess or balances kung meron pa will be allocated to the remainder of the asset accounts based on the carrying amount of the said asset. So, we allocate, ano ba yun? Ayan, carrying amount prorated based on the remaining asset accounts. So, impairment loss, absorb muna ng recognized goodwill. Kung meron pang balanse, prorated daw based on fraction ng carrying amount nung naiwan na asset accounts. for the CGUs. Kasi it's like a small portion of the entire operations or activities of the entity. Yan yung usapan sa CGUs. Kaya, yan, goodwill muna, then the rest, prorated. Lastly, nung sa inventories noon, merong reversal na tinatawag of inventory write-down. We learned there na subsequently, pag medyo mas mataas na ulit ang fair value or net realizable value ng inventories over sa cost niya, hindi na siya impaired kumbaga. So we reverse, kumbaga gain amount siya. Gain account siya. So graphically speaking, as you can notice here, we have the explanation of the reversal of impairment loss. Ibig sabihin naka-recover. Mas mataas na yung recoverable amount ulit or maybe yung fair value ulit ng asset over sa carrying amount niya or book value niya. B represents the carrying amount on the date of reversal. C represents the carrying amount of the asset if no impairment loss had been recognized previously. And letter D is the representation of the recoverable amount on the date of reversal. Sabi niya rito, pag ang kinompare mo daw ay letter D, ang basis kasi is the recoverable amount on the date of reversal versus tong letter C, the carrying amount if no impairment loss had been recognized previously, the said reversal or gain is recognized in OCI or other comprehensive income. No? However, as you can see, pag hindi natin ginagamit yung letter D, the said reversal between B and C lang siya is recognized in P&L or income statement. So, generally in short, when it comes to reversal or kumbaga gain siya on reversal of impairment loss, generally when it comes to P&L side, when it comes to the income statement side, between C minus B sabi niya ang parang representation niyan, ang maximum na rin-recognize natin na reversal first is the impairment loss amount. The basis is sabi niya, generally should not exceed the impairment loss amount in actual. Kasi beyond that, is like OCI account na. So, in the previous asset accounts as well, we encountered that now the set reversal or gain should not exceed the actual impairment loss amount. Pero sabi niya rito, pag nag-exceed na siya, the set reversal is like a gain. Will be recognized in other comprehensive income. Pero syempre, isettle muna natin sa impairment loss. Mawawala na kasi siya Kaya nga reversal, di ba? Mawawala na yung impairment loss. Therefore, i-zero out muna natin siya. The said recovery should absorb the impairment loss amount first. Beyond that is already a gain. Pero OCI daw siya. Pag-usapang ganun. So, ang recognize ng P&L therefore, or income statement is the maximum amount of the reversal is the impairment loss actual amount. Yan yung graphical explanation ng reversal. And that's the end of impairment of assets sonars. Questions? Baguio Plus? How about Manila people? Calendar, we're done with the gray group of topics. Siyempre, hindi pa tayo aalis. Meron pa tayong quizzer to help you guys answer different questions. So, let's pause for a very short break, 5 minutes. Yan. So, CR break muna. We're gonna have the quizzer after the
Pero tanggalin nga mo sa hirap mo.
Hello everyone. I'm already sharing my screen for the quizzer. Can you guys see in the back? Manila class. Ah, bakit wala doon? Okay. Okay, let's answer together so we can finish our agenda for tonight. I prepared here, guys, the quizzer related to the gray group of topics to help you more answer more questions related to the topic. Sa mga nasa Manila class, please use our chat box to answer questions. No? Please participate as much as possible. So let's start. Number one. And number one, under Basel 3, borrowing costs can be capitalized as part of the asset when letter A, the asset is a qualifying asset. B, the asset is a qualifying asset and is not probable that the borrowing costs will result in future economic benefits. C, the asset is a qualifying asset and it is probable that the borrowing costs will result in future economic benefits to the entity and the cost can be measured reliably. D, the asset is a qualifying asset, probable that the borrowing costs will result in future economic benefits, but the cost cannot be measured reliably. What's your answer number one? Ayan, mabilis sila. They're allowed. Yeah. Same with the Baguio people and Manila. Letter C is the correct answer, number one. Next. Number two, interest cost that is capitalized should A, be written off over the remaining term of the debt, B, not written off until the rated asset is fully depreciated or disposed of, C, be accumulated and deferred charge account and written off equally over a 40 period of time, or letter D, none of the above. What's your answer, Baguio class? Your Manila counterpart is answering letter D. Siyempre, may none of the above, di ba? Kung may none of the above, syempre we go with letter D, di ba? But the correct answer is yes. Number two is dog. None of the above. Wala naman tayong pinag-usapan kasing ganito, di ba? Sa borrowing cost, we don't write off, we don't wait for the depreciation. Di ba wala naman ganun? Initial talagang cost siya kung papasok sa borrowing cost. Ayan. So number two, dog, none of the above. Number three, which of the following statement is true regarding capitalization of interest? So borrowing cost pa rin. A, interest cost capitalized in connection with the purchase of land to be used as a building should be debited to the land and not the building. B, the amount of interest cost capitalized during the period should not exceed the actual interest cost incurred. C, when excess borrowed funds not immediately needed for construction are temporarily invested, any interest earned should be recorded as interest revenue. D, minimum amount of interest to be capitalized is determined by multiplying a weighted average interest rate by the amount of average accumulated expenditure on qualifying asset. Alin daw dyan ang true? What's your answer, guys? Maraming sumasagot letter B. Kayo ba, guys? Yung number three, letter D, the terms came from past 23 but it's an incorrect application. Letter A, wala tayong, letter A, baliktad siya. Siyempre, magtatayo ka ng building, sa building yung cost, kumbaga sana. So, between B and C, the correct answer is letter B. The amount of interest cost capitalized during the period should not exceed the actual interest cost. Di ba sa general borrowings ito yun? Whichever is higher kasi eh. So, kung higher yung actual interest cost, tama ba? Yun yung basis natin kanina eh. So, it should not exceed the said actual interest cost. Wala tayong ganitong temporary investment kanina. So number three is boy. Okay? Number four, ayan. Which of the following costs may not be eligible for capitalization? A. Imputed costs of equity. B. Interest on bonds. C. Amortization of discount or premium related to borrowings that qualify for capitalization. C. Exchange differences arising from foreign currency borrowings to the extent that these are regarded as adjustment to interest costs. Ang hindi daw kasama yung number four, dog, talagang kasama eh. No? Yung number one na item is always interest cost or expense, di ba? Ano ba ina-amortize natin sa C? Interest. Eh, letter B, interest din eh. No? Answer, number four, not eligible. Letter A, imputed cost of equity. Because sometimes imputed cost of equity are not recognized. Equity eh, hindi naman borrowings coming sa issuance ng shares, di ba? Equity is the wrong information. Borrowings came from loan or funding. Equity is issuance of shares. Bonds may pwede pa. Number four, A, imputed costs. Not eligible. Okay? Number five, PFR 6 naman ngayon. Does PFR 6 require an entity to recognize, explore, and eval expenditure as assets? A, no. Such expenditure is always expense in P&L. B, yes, but only to the extent such expenditure is recoverable in future periods. C, yes, but only to the extent required by the entity's accounting policy for recognizing, explore, and eval of assets. Or letter D, yes, but only to the extent the technical feasibility and commercial viability of extracting the associated mineral resources have been demonstrated. Alin daw dyan ang applicable, tamang application ng PFR 6? Ay, maraming sumasagot ng letter C. No? Di ba? Bungad pa lang kanina ng PFR 6, sinabi na natin na PFR 6 already updated na dati strict yan na puro depletion. Pero sabi niya, it will depend, the keyword is accounting policy of the entity. No? Mali yung letter D kasi technical feasibility na eh. Outside na siya ng scope ng PFR 6. Number 5, correct? Letter C. Number 6. An entity is required to consider which of the following in developing accounting policy for exploration and eval activities. A. Recent pronouncements of standard setting bodies. B. Whether the accounting policy results in info that is relevant and reliable. C. The requirements and guidance in PFRS dealing with similar and related issue. Or letter D. The definition, recognition, and measurement concepts of assets, liabilities, income, and expenses in the conceptual framework. Alin daw dyan ang required to consider? What's your answer, guys? Siyempre, we look for the keyword, di ba? Accounting policies is the independent variable or factor to be considered. Wala tayong binagit na about FSRSC muna, BOA, and others. So, number 6, answer, boy. Sino na ang naka-perfect so far? 6 points. Next, number 7. Which of the following is not a disclosure required in PFR 6? Explore and eval expenditures. A. Info about commercial reserve quantities. B. Accounting policy for explore and eval expenditures. C. The amounts of assets, liabilities, income, and expenses, and operating and investing cash flows arising from the explore and eval of mineral resources. Or letter D, info that identifies and explains the amounts recognized in the financial statements. Ano daw ang hindi required na disclosure? Baguio class, what's your answer? C or A? How about the Manila people? I can see letter A. The correct answer, the keyword is commercial. No? Outside na siya ng scope. So not disclosure, number 7, letter A. Next. Number 8, 7A, number 8. Under past 38, which is the following is a criterion that must be met in order for an item to be recognized as intangible asset other than goodwill. A. Fair value measured reliably. B. Item is identifiable, lacks physical substance. C. Item is expected to be used in production or supply of goods or services. D. Item is part of activities aimed at gaining new scientific or technical knowledge. Alin dyan ang tama daw na criteria or criterion? What's your answer, Baguio people? I hear B. Boy, how about Manila? Let's check. Okay, you got the correct answer. Ay, number 8, yes. The item is identifiable and lacks physical substance. Tama? Tumugma pareho eh. Identifiable, asset eh. Lacks physical substance, intangible. No? Number 8, boy. Fair value, bakit mali yung A? Hindi naman lagi fair value, di ba? Subsequently, pwedeng cost or evaluation. So, lumabas na sa fair value, hindi lang fair value. So, 8 is boy. Next. Number 9, an entity that acquires an intangible asset may use the revaluation model, so fair value, no? For subsequent measurement only if A, the intangible asset is a monetary asset. B, active market exists for the intangible asset. C, cost of the intangible asset can be measured reliably. For letter D, the useful life of the intangible asset can be reliably determined. Oh, the evaluation model is fair value amount measurement, diba? What's your answer, Baguio people, number 9? Boy, how about Manila class? Let's check. Oh, okay, so far you're answering boy. Yes, number 9, the correct answer is letter B. Siyempre, fair value eh, di ba? Remember the fair value standards. Active market muna exists. Number 9 is boy. Next. Which of the following statements is true about development costs? A. Expense. B. Recorded in OCI. C. Always deferred and expense against future revenue. D. May be capitalized as an intangible asset in very restrictive situations. Alin daw ang tama dyan? I can hear dog. Ayaw yung expense. A. Dog. How about Manila people? Development costs na ang tinatanong. The correct answer number 10 is dog. Tama? Yun ang kumpleto eh. No? Development costs may be capitalized as an intangible asset in very restrictive situations. Nasa isang slide lang lahat ng situations na yon. Hindi rin natin pwedeng makonclude na letter A kasi yun na, pwede kasing makapitalize. Di ba? Number 10 is dog. Development costs ang tanong eh. Eh kung research lumabas, number 10. Letter A tayo. Di ba? 10 dog. Next. Which of the following R&D related costs should be capitalized and depreciated over current and future periods? A. Inventory use for a specific research period. B. Admin salaries allocated to R&D. C. Research findings purchased to aid a particular research project currently in process. Or letter D. R&D general laboratory building which can be put to alternative use in the future. Capitalizable daw. Alin dyan? Baguio people? A. Possible inventory for specific research. Let's check the Manila people. Oh, they are answering letter D as in dog, no? Capitalizable. Between the two, research or development, ang capitalizable na may chance is development side. O di, between the four choices, ang may development lang dyan ay boy and dog. Tama? So between the two, nako, admin salaries, tama na sana, pero inallocate pa niya. Eh kung inallocate niya sa research, allocated to research and development, there are, salaries expense is not depreciated. We all know that. Siyempre, maghanap, tama, possible yung B eh. Pero ang tanong, should be capitalized and depreciated. Pwedeng makapitalize yung B kasi nga may development side na. Pero ang pwedeng ma-depreciate is letter D, di ba? Building na ginamit sa R&D which can be put to alternative use in the future. Huh? Number 11, dog. Next, number 12, startup costs including legal fees to organize a new entity should be what is startup cost is like the business expenses. No? Generally though, number 12, A, expense. B, capitalized, never amortize. C, capitalize, amortize 5 years. D, capitalize, amortize 40 years. What are startup costs? Baguio people, what's your answer? I can hear A. Let's check the Manila people here. A, ayan. Sa investment property, may binanggit siya about startup costs eh. No? Startup costs practically is business expenses. Generally, kahit anong asset account yan, expense. Pero may investment property kasi na side doon pag binasa nyo. Sa investment property before, startup costs which can be relevant or talagang connected siya na hindi magiging investment property yung account. Kung wala yung startup cost, pwede daw siyang capitalizable. Pero kung walang sinabi, number 12, yun ang binabanggit dyan, walang sinabi. Generally, number 12, letter A. Expense lagi pag walang sinabi. No, talagang, may term yun significant. Ayun. Talagang dependent doon yung mismong product or mismong asset. Pwede daw siyang capitalizable. Pero generally, expenses lahat yan. Number 12, A. Next, 13, past 36. The impairment rules for long-lived assets apply to all of the following, except, alin ang hindi? A, land. B, financial instruments. C, building. D, mini computers used to run a production process. Saan daw ang hindi? Subject to impairment na usapan. Some are answering letter A, Baguio people. Let's check the Manila group. A, B, yan. Di ba? Pag binalikan natin yung past 36, ang hindi lang nabanggit doon ay 13, boy. Financial instruments. Take note guys, long-lived assets. Sa choices, isa lang ang hindi long-lived assets. Financial instruments siya. No? The rest PPs di ba? So, number 13 is boy. No? Subject to impairment but is not talking about long-lived assets, yung financial instruments. 13 is boy. PP ang tinatanong in short ng 13 na general. Ang hindi kasama, yun ang answer, boy. Na? Next, 14. Entity is considering applying an impairment to an individual asset or the CGU to which the asset belongs. Which of the following statement is true? A. If the individual asset generates significant proportion of cash inflows of the entity as a whole, the cash generating unit should not be identified. B. If the individual asset does not generate cash inflows that are largely independent from other assets, the CGU should be identified. C. If the individual asset generates an insignificant portion of the cash inflows of the entity as a whole, the CGU should not be identified. Or finally, letter D, all of these statements are true. What's your answer, Baguio people? Huh? Which of the following statements is true? Siyempre may all of the above, di ba? So, doon tayo dapat sa 14. Let's check the Manila group. Boy. Yan. Which of the following statements is true, sabi niya, no? The correct answer in number 14 is dog, all of the above. All of these statements are true, no? So, actually, pag binasa niyo siya, kahit sobrang haba, nag-fall siya sa tamang rules pag binasa niyo na maigi. Individual asset generates a significant portion and as a whole siya o di hindi i-record daw yung individual asset, CGU. The CGU should not be identified, parang ganun sabi niya. Kanina does not generate cash inflow, CGU siya, parang ganun. So, insignificant individual assets, sabi niya, the CGU should not be identified. So, pag binasa niyo na maigi, pare-parehong tumugma sa tamang rules yan. 14, dog, all of the above. No? So, basahin niyo muna na maigi ha, baka lakitan niyo lang naman na all of the above ay true na siya agad lahat. No? So, in this case, nagkataon na all of the above as well. Next, 15. Which of the following impairment losses should never be reversed? A, loss on goodwill. B, loss on inventory. C, loss on business segment. Or letter D, loss on PPE. Okay, syempre, very obvious, no? Goodwill na side. 15, letter A for Baguio class. Let's confirm. Manila people, yes. Correct answer, 15, letter A. Finally, last item, 16. Which of the following statements in relation to recovery of impairment for intangible asset is not true? So, false ang hinahanap natin. A, no recovery of impairment is allowed for goodwill. B, recovery of impairment is reported in other income. C, the amount of recovery is limited to the carrying amount of the asset that would have been reported had no impairment occurred. Or letter D, after a recovery of impairment had been recognized, the carrying amount of the asset reported would be higher between fair value less cost of disposal and value in use. Alin dyan ang false? Baguio class, what's your answer? I heard some of you are answering dog. Check natin yung Manila. Boy, dog, a. Okay. Marami. May A, boy, dog. Not true. Naku, kakasagot lang natin yung A, di ba? Tama yan, no? Walang recovery sa 15 kanina eh, no? Tama lang din na impairment loss is reported as other recovery na kasi, so gain account na siya. So other income na yan, miscellaneous and other income yan, kumbaga eh. Ito, nabanggit din natin sa graph, no? Generally, hindi the recovery is based on the carrying amount that would have been reported had no impairment occurred. No? Number 16, tama. Letter D is the answer. Bakit? Naka-recover na siya. Wala na tayong point of comparison. Recoverable amount na yung basis niya. So, uh, we don't recognize the fair value less cost of disposal na versus value and use. Hindi sa recovery siya applicable. Itong naka-highlight ay applicable sa impairment loss testing. Kaya false yung dog. 16, the answer is dog. Okay? And that ends the quizzer for this session or agenda. Let's stop the recording.